Hey there, I'm Charlie and welcome to day 17 of Vlogmas. Today we're back with more arts and crafts as I tackle my Christmas themed DIY candle making kit. And here it is. You might recall that during spooky season I completed a make your own Halloween candle kit, and I had so much fun with it that when I saw the Christmas candle making kit available, I knew that I had to give it a go. I love candles. I am a candle bitch. I have always loved candles. I love absolutely everything to do with them, and that, it turns out, includes making them. In order for us to do that again today, why don't we open this up and see what we're working with. And here they are. First of all, we have our very important instruction sheet so that we actually know what the heck we're doing. Next up, we have the soy wax we need for the actual body of the candles. Next, we have some stirring sticks and wick holding guides. Even better, we have the correct amount this time. Here we have the candle wick and the needle we're going to use to thread it through the molds. We have red and green pigments to color the candles. And finally, we have the two candle molds themselves. Now, learning from the instructions last time, before we get anywhere near melting, I'm going to prep these molds first. In order to show you how we do that, let's bring out the second camera and jump right into it. Okay, now let's get prepping. So here I have, of course, the molds that I'll be using, the wick holders, the wick, the needle, and I've got myself a pair of scissors just to trim the wick in half so that we've got one for each of the molds. And now, like we did last time, we're going to thread one of these wicks onto the needle, and then we can start feeding it through the actual mold. So here we have our threaded wick, and we have to go through the top of this silicone and bring it all the way through out the other side. Very careful getting the needle back through. So I just folded it back to make it a little easier. You can start pulling that thread through. And now I'm just going to put it back the right way so I know when to stop. And I'm just going to take the needle off. So here we have it placed so that there is enough wick on each end for lighting and for putting in the wick guide. We're going to utilize the wick guide like so. We just feed the wick through the hole of that popsicle stick like so. And then that's going to help keep it in place as we fill these with our liquid wax. Now that I've showed you how we set up the wicks in the candle mold, I'm going to do the second one off camera, and then we're going to start melting. With both molds prepped, of course, the next step is to start melting the wax. It was a lot easier this time because the molds were exactly the same, so we just had to split the wax in half and didn't have to guess how much each mold needed. Once it had been separated, we put the soy wax into the two different pots and began melting it on a low-medium heat. Once it was completely melted, it was time to add in the pigments. This time around, the pigments were like big chunks, whereas last time they'd already been ground down into powder. And so the initial color impact of dropping them in was way more spectacular. It looked really cool. This time around, we put all of the pigment in each of them. We didn't save any for future candle rounds because we wanted them to be really vibrant, and I think they're going to be. You have to move pretty quickly during this stage, so we went right into our pouring setup. Now, I had also pre-taped the wicks to the wick guides just so that they didn't move around. But the issue with pouring this time versus last time is that the opening of these molds was a much smaller and stranger shape than last time, which led to the waxident that you see before you. But fortunately, there was more than enough wax to fill both of these molds, and we were able to put them right in the fridge to solidify. Now, once again, we don't own a hairdryer or a heat gun to prep the molds beforehand, and we did go straight into the fridge because we have cats, so that may affect the end result with the bubbling like it did last time, but I think that that's just something that we're gonna have to deal with, and honestly, I'm pretty fine with that. And so now it is time to wait for them to harden before we can actually test them out. So here we have both our red and green Christmas tree candles ready to demold, and then we can test them. First of all, yes, we did spill a lot of wax. Realistically, we should have poured in smaller increments. They also recommend that so that you can tap the mold as you go to eliminate air bubbles. We did not do that. So we'll see what effect it has in the end, but I'm very excited to get into it. So let's jump straight into demolding these guys. I'm gonna start with the red one. I have got a butter knife in case I need it, but oh, here we go. There we go. Get some of this excess wax off the bottom of the wick, or the top of the wick technically. Possibly it would have been a good idea to start with the green one, but that's okay. There we go. We now have a waxed wick, and now I'm going to take off the wick guide, and now we can start to try and demold the candle. Because these are silicone molds, they have quite a bit of movement. We're going to try and just gently pull it back from the edges before turning the whole thing inside out effectively to get the candle out. I must say this is a much much easier shape for demolding than the skull was, or the ghost with his little arms. Though that is a similar feeling for these little notches, but they are comparatively smaller, which makes it easier. And there we have a demolded red Christmas tree candle. So now I'm going to demold our green one and just trim the wicks back a little, and then we can test our candles. And here we have our 2 Christmas tree candles all ready to go. I like how they've both turned out. I think initial assessment, they're both pretty solid. Unfortunately, the wick for the green Christmas tree is over here in the corner. It is definitely not centralized, so that might be a problem towards the end of the tree. But other than that, they have come out pretty smooth and consistently. There are definitely a few air bubbles, but nothing really to write home about. On the red one, we're still not perfectly centered with the wick, but we are much closer, so I'm proud of us for that. The air bubbles are much more visible when it's upside down because of these little corners, but from the correct view, you can hardly notice at all. I will also note that the red tree has a fully waxed wick because it's spilt everywhere, whereas the green tree has an unwaxed wick. Now that we've had a good look at them, let's light them. In case you were ever wondering what the difference between a waxed and unwaxed wick is, one burns a lot faster. Okay, we have a new victory that we did not have last time. Both of them have reached the actual candle. We weren't that successful with the Halloween candle kit. I think we can officially say that these are in fact candles. Huzzah! And there we have it. This is the result of the Make Your Own Christmas Candles kit. I'm really happy with both of my Christmas tree candles. I think they both look great, the green and the red, and they're both actually working. I'm thrilled. This went so much better than the Halloween candles did. They are officially starting to melt, and I really like how pretty they are, so I'm gonna call it there. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you liked it, and if you did, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more Vlogmas coming this month. I hope you're having an amazing day, and I can't wait to see you all soon. Bye!